Does having a visible Wi-Fi password add security compared to an open Wi-Fi hotspot? Hi everyone, Leo Notenboom here for askleo.com. Here's a question I got. I handle the Wi-Fi hotspot for a library and have been using WPA2 with an openly distributed passphrase. Another library has no security whatsoever. Is there a greater risk using no security because for our library the passphrase is so openly available to possibly bad guys? The short answer is that putting a password up is much more secure than a true open Wi-Fi hotspot. Even if it's a publicly visible password, it adds significant levels of security. Now, when you've got an open Wi-Fi hotspot, meaning you do not need to provide a password to Windows or your mobile device in order to connect, all the information being transmitted by each of the computers connected to that hotspot is being transmitted in the clear. In other words, anyone within range can eavesdrop in the conversation. That puts the onus of security on each individual user, which is not necessarily a good assumption. Yes, HTTPS saves a lot, but there are still leaks. WPA2 or WPA3, when that's used, it has a very interesting characteristic. Even though the password that you use is the same for everybody, the one you might put on a whiteboard behind the counter, each individual connection between a computer and that hotspot uses a different private encryption key. What that means is that when there are multiple computers connected to the same hotspot, they can't eavesdrop on one another. Each connection is encrypted separately and privately. It's actually a really good design point for WPA. I honestly wish that every quote-unquote open Wi-Fi hotspot in the world would switch to this model. In other words, I wish that at Starbucks, there was a board on the wall that said today's Wi-Fi password is, and you would need to specify that password in order to connect to the hotspot. It's a minor inconvenience for a very significant level of additional security. Unfortunately, Starbucks and most of the other open Wi-Fi hotspot providers in the world know that anything that isn't as simple as possible is going to give them customer service issues. And the baristas, or whomever, they're just not going to be prepared when someone asks them for tech help. There is hope. In the years since I originally posted the article on which I've based this, I've run across more and more hotspots that do exactly as I suggest. Somewhere, there's a password. It's definitely much more secure to have a WPA2 connection with a publicly posted password than to have a completely open Wi-Fi hotspot. Now, of course, you do need to use your Wi-Fi hotspots carefully. You're allowing someone else to be your ISP, and with that comes more than just the characteristics of the hotspot itself. However, a publicly posted password, that's a pretty good sign. For updates, for comments, for links related to this topic and more, visit askleo.com/6409. I'm Leo Notenboom, and this is askleo.com. Thanks for watching.